Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mac and Talk number 39 for Tuesday, July 23rd, 2022. I am your host, Chanelle Allen. Mac and Talk is an open forum Q&A conference session for anyone with Mac questions. Whether you're just getting started, and what I mean by just getting started, you're trying to decide if the Mac is the right computer for you, or maybe you've had a Mac, you've decided to take that plunge, but you're really struggling to learn VoiceOver. Or maybe you've been using the Mac for a while and need help with an app or a feature. No matter where you are on your Mac journey, we are here to help and to answer your questions. And I am so glad that you have joined us tonight, live or later on via the podcast recording. Before we get started with our main program, that is your questions, I just have a few announcements to get through. iBUG Today, we are an awesome organization and we have lots going on. And the best way to keep up with all that is to follow us on our website and social media. Our website is ibugtoday.org. There you can register to become a member. Registration is free. Participating in any of our events is free. And by registering, you will be the first to know when we send out announcements for things like our movie night, our cafe, our Mac and Talk, all that great stuff you will be notified about. On our website, you can also go to the upcoming events tab to get an overview of everything we have going on throughout the month. There's also links to our previous training sessions and also a Mac and Talk link. If you go to that Mac and Talk link, you will find a few things, one of which is the info to subscribe to our Mac and Talk discussion email list. And you can do that. My contact info is also on the page and links to our previous Mac and Talk sessions. All right, if you're not if you're not too keen on going on the website, well, all of our announcements are posted to social media. So we have a Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/iBugToday. In addition to our announcements, it's a great place to interact in between all of our events, to ask questions or share information that might be relevant. Also, on Twitter and Instagram, you can find us at iBugToday. On Twitter, you could even if you don't have a Twitter account, you could just simply go to the website twitter.com/iBugToday. And it is well worth your time because our Twitter master, Herbie Allen, takes a whole bunch of tweets from all the greatest sources, well, a lot of sources, about all the Apple news, tech deals, and rumors and more. And he posts those on our Twitter. So it's one central place to get a lot of info, plus all of our announcements. All right, and if you like to listen to podcasts, if you don't really want to go to a website to download our stuff, but you have a podcast app or a smart speaker, well, we've got a few podcasts for you. We have the iBUG Buzz and iBUG Mac and Talk. And also, we are on YouTube. If you prefer doing things in the YouTube app, just look for the iBug Today channel. And on that channel, we have various playlists, one of which is a playlist with the previous Mac training course lessons. All right, so let's actually then talk about our events coming up. We've had so much this last month. We just had an awesome Apple workshop this last Saturday. But coming up this week on Thursday, all these events I'm about to mention are on the same Zoom channel. On Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m., we have It's iBug's Life with our facilitator, George Batiste, and his title is Let the Good Times Roll. He will be showing us how to make red beans and rice, Louisiana style, I think. So you will be able to maybe even come and get a virtual sample of that. On Friday, we have iBug Night at the Virtual Movies. Our movie starts at 8, and this time it is Jezebel, was from 1938. But we'd love it if you could come to the pre-movie social at 7:30. And then after the movie, we have a discussion time with trivia and other things. All right, and next Monday, every Monday really, from 7 to 9 p.m. Central, we have iBug Buzz. So this call is all for your Mac questions, but iBug Buzz is for everything except the Mac that relates to iDevices. So iPhone, Apple Watch, Apple TV, iOS, all that great stuff. And that is 7 to 9 every Monday night. And there will be other things that will come up periodically. Our book club is usually the second Thursday of the month, and I think next month they're reading Beloved by Toni Morrison. They're also into the fifth season of Next Generation, I believe, so lots of stuff. Just stay tuned with our social media and you will be informed of what's coming. So now it's time for us to have everybody to hear who is here. We'd like to hear your name, where you're calling from, and if you are participating for the first time in Macintalk. So I am Chanelle and I am in Houston. Let's see here. There we go.
Janet from Colorado.
Hi, Janet. Glad to have you.
This is Brad, North Texas.
Hi, Brad.
This is Pete, North Florida.
Welcome, Pete.
This is Darcy from Canada, currently in Tennessee.
Okay, Darcy, welcome, and Priscilla. Great.
Hey, Chanelle, how you doing?
Hi, great. How are you?
I'm doing very fabulous, dear. Thank
Awesome. Glad to have you.
you.
Julie's here.
Okay, welcome, Julie.
Thank you. Kathy Long from Pennsylvania.
Hi, Kathy.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's not my first time, but I dropped out because I couldn't progress till my Mac got online. And now it is, and I'm back.
Yay. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Hi guys, it's Judy in Connecticut.
Judy, glad to have you.
Sonia from Houston.
Hi, Sandhya.
This is Suva from Houston.
Hi, Suva. Glad to have you too.
Hi, everybody. It's Gail or Gigi from Houston.
Hi, Gail.
Hi, Chanelle.
Sarah Kaysen, Missouri. Not my
Hi.
first time.
Okay, glad to have you back.
Thank you. Glad to be back. I'm going to try to sign up for your Mac course that starts in September. So,
Yeah, we're actually pretty full for that right now, but I can add you to the waiting list and
Okay.
anybody who's interested. We have a continually evolving waiting list, and generally, if you don't get in the course that you signed up for, you're generally guaranteed to get in the next one. So, all right. Does anyone else want to introduce themselves?
Hi, I'm Milagros Gemmel.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Is this your first time coming to Macintalk?
I attended some meetings back a long time ago, and I'm trying to get back to this so I can continue to learn.
That's awesome. Great. Do you have a Mac?
Yes, I do.
Great. Well, we're happy to have you, and you are welcome to ask a question at any time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Great. All right. Well, I think that's everyone. So let's go ahead. Who has our first question?
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead. So you came in late. So generally what we do, if you can just say your name, please, before you speak, and then that way we get to know our voices and can try to keep a flow of the conversation. So.
Okay, this is Milagros, and
yeah, go ahead.
Every time I'm reading the emails and I want to save an event, how can I, with few clicks, put it on the Google Calendar or something do something like that? Because I just want to be able to expedite and do a couple of clicks, put it on a calendar that will notify me of the event rather than copying and pasting and doing all that stuff.
Right. Okay, well, yeah, so we talk about voiceover here. And so we can kind of give you that perspective. I think some of our people might be low vision as well, but does anyone have a good way to help Milagros quickly add events to the calendar? Is there a quick way of doing that?
It's just Brad.
Yes, Brad?
Well, I find that frequently, I don't know what it is, if it's Siri or what in the Mac will detect that an event is mentioned either in the subject line or in the body of the message, that it's referring to an event because it'll find a date and a time and what it thinks is the date. And depending upon what you're using as your default calendar, you might find up at the top of the message in the message area, it's kind of like a little banner area. And you might find where it suggests this event, and there may be a button to add to calendar. If that's not there, I don't think there's an automatic way to do it that I know of. Other you have to add it manually, but you may find those at the top of some messages. Maybe somebody else knows something else that I don't know.
All right, looking for the banner at the top. That's always a good idea.
Thank you, Brad.
Does anyone else have any suggestions or feedback? All right. Well, thanks, Milagros. Let us know if you figure out anything. And thanks for coming. We're glad that you came and glad you asked your question. And stick around. So, who would like to ask our next question?
This is Gigi.
Yes, Gigi, go ahead.
Okay. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but when I was doing my email, I noticed that.
So, you're kind of muffled right now.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Can you
That's
hear me?
better. That's
Okay.
better.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So when I was going down my email, um, all of a sudden it would go. Some of it would be the voiceover would not read every email. It would stop, and then it would go off, and then I would have to um, put the voiceover back on my keyboard again, and it kept going off and on. So I called Apple Accessibility, and they said that my voiceover was bouncing around, and so then I had to, restart it, and but then I noticed, it's better, but I was wondering if this happened to anyone else.
Okay. So your voiceover, does it freeze then and then
No,
or
no, I noticed that still, that when I go down, I mean, it's a lot better now, but it would, sometimes when I go down an email and I'm just pressing the down arrow key, sometimes it will skip and just not do anything, and then it will say voiceover on mail. And sometimes it will not do anything, and I have to turn voiceover off and voiceover back on.
okay.
But when I called Apple Accessibility, it was just bouncing around, they said.
So did
and
you
and it's
oh, sorry,
it's
go ahead.
updated to it was updated to the latest software. So
All right. Did you maybe have quick nav on or something? Because that can make voiceover jump around.
I could always check that. I mean, I'm
Yeah, you
not
might
by
want to
my
make
Mac.
sure it's
Okay.
off.
Okay. I'm not by the Mac at the moment, so on my phone.
Does anyone else have any other ideas?
This is Darcy.
Yeah, Darcy.
Okay. One thing that does come up from time to time, I've had problems with this. I know some people do, some people don't. Is the option to let the voice or let the mouse pointer follow the voiceover cursor, and sometimes when the mouse moves into different areas, things can kind of bounce around. I don't know if that's what's happening here or not, but I have seen weird things happen. So I tend to prefer having the mouse pointer ignore the voiceover cursor, and you can get to all that with in the navigation section of the voiceover utility. I like I said, that might be something to look at.
Okay. And I think I did that because I think that was a problem last time. And I think I had it on ignore, right?
Yes, that's where I prefer to have it anyway. I've found
Yeah,
fewer problems. I know some people use
yeah,
that, but
yeah, no, and that is, I fixed that. That is on ignore.
okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just Sonia with a new question.
All right. Well, thanks, Gail, and we'll let you know if we think of anything else. Go ahead, Sandhya.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. So I'm using my microphone. It's kind of a weird specific question. So if you'd rather talk about something else, let me know. But so I have the ATR mic connected to my Mac, and it is connected through a little whatever hub, I guess. Everything is plugged into one thing. So there's two problems. So it keeps telling me my microphone has changed between external mic and whatever mic. I'm not moving, nothing is happening, but yet I keep getting that notification. And then the other weird thing is at different points on a Zoom call, this is primarily when that starts happening, that I'm like two voiceovers are talking to me, telling me different things. So it's very hard to hear what's going on. So I mean, I don't know if that's beyond the scope, we can skip it. So just like
No, that's an interesting question.
This is
Pete.
Brad.
Okay, Darcy, and then Pete, and then Brad. So Darcy.
Darcy, yeah.
Darcy.
I would, if I had to guess that there might be something weird going on with your hub that you've got everything plugged into. If you can, is it possible for you to try, even just temporarily, plugging the mic directly into the Mac? Is that something you can do, or are all your USB ports taken out?
Like, no, I mean, it doesn't have any USB ports. It's only got the little USB-C on the Mac.
Yeah. But do you have yours is yours the ATR 2100X or the 2100?
Yeah. The 20.
Okay, because
what do I have, Brad? QL.
That's it.
2100.
ATR 2100X USB microphone.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's got the USB-C then, the USB-C connection.
Yeah, that's what she's got.
So she should be able to plug that directly into the
connection?
Mac.
Where is that? Okay. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so on your microphone, should have a USB-C connection on it, and the other end of it is also a USB-C connection. So that's probably plugged into your hub or whatever. If you can plug that directly into your Mac, then at least you can rule out the hub. If it's still doing it, then there's either something screwy with the microphone or the cable. But at least that would let you rule out the hub.
Okay, well, I can start there. Okay, thank you.
Great. Yeah. And Pete, you had something?
Well, yeah, I was going to address the two voiceovers. I think one's probably just in your head. But
Hey, how did you know that?
I was going to say that, but I didn't really.
Oh, Darcy.
Have you checked,
okay.
Sandhya, have you checked system preferences and gone into your sound preferences and be sure that your microphone is identified properly? Because that's a USB hub and not a audio mixer, I'm guessing.
Yeah, just a plain old hub.
Yeah. So I don't know if
Wonderful.
if something may have changed in your sound preferences and you've maybe got your input sound preference setting at a different thing, and that's why it's reading differently. Does it bounce around?
There's a lot of bouncing and talking, and it's crazy. So, okay,
Yeah.
I'll try some of this. Thank you very much.
And
Thank you,
Brad?
Chanelle.
Yeah, I just
Yeah, a
wanted
couple things. First, like what Darcy said, try plugging it straight into the computer. I realize you've got a M1 MacBook Air, so you've only got two USB-C. Actually, they're Thunderbolt ports, but it's just kind of they're both Thunderbolt and USB-C. But yeah, I would try that. And also, is the hub you're using, does it have its own power source, or is it okay? Well, okay, that eliminates that. I think one of your problems is, it because I really think the microphone should be plugged directly into the Mac. So, and I know that's a problem if you've only got two ports, because one of them's probably plugged into power, and that leaves you with one port.
Right.
But try that and see what it does. As far as your other thing with the I think what you're hearing is Zoom announcements. I don't know where you'd have two things unless you have not voiceover, but speech turned on. And if you're using voiceover, I usually go through in accessibility where there's a speech category, and I have that disabled because I don't need it. I'm using voiceover, and that could account for two things. But if it's only happens in Zoom, I'm wondering if Zoom announcements isn't the culprit.
Okay.
And I believe you can go into Zoom preferences, accessibility, and there's a table in there where you can micromanage all the different types of announcements that Zoom makes. And you might try turning some of them off and see if that helps with some of that.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, this is Chanelle. Sometimes very rarely will I have a screen reader just double itself. It's like there's two instances of it running and you hear like two, but hopefully that's not what's going on. But definitely all those suggestions are awesome things to look into. So who would like to ask our next question?
This is Suva.
Suva, go ahead.
Hey, so maybe I just have a refresher question. So I would like to know the command keys with the voiceover, with the, if you're reading a PDF document using the books on MacBook, just the keyboard commands on the paragraph, read by sentences, and just a refresher on the different commands, continuous reading, things like that.
Okay. Who would like to help Suva out? Give him a refresher on those commands, or maybe even where to find those commands. So I'm not sure how well like some of these commands work in a PDF or in the books app. But there are definitely like commands, like ins or your VO modifier and, just the first letter of the thing you want to do. So C is the current character, W is the word, L is the line, S is the sentence, P is the paragraph. And then you can, put it with some of these things like VO, or sometimes navigating by word, it's more reliable to do option left and right. It just really depends on what the app is throwing at you. I have not used the Books app in quite a while. Moving to sentences, I never remember the series of keys. It's like command, option, control, and then page up, and then command shift. But you can also use the voiceover rotor, and there is like VOU can take you into the different categories in the rotor, or you can also do command option control right arrow and left arrow to move among rotor categories like sentence, paragraph, and then command option control down arrow to move by that selected element. You can also turn quick nav on and do things that way, but that sometimes causes a bit more trouble. So I hope that helps. The best way, though, to really look up some of these things is your voiceover commands helps. If you do VO and then hold down VO while you're typing HH, you can type in keywords in there like sentence or paragraph, or you can just explore the commands categories. There's about 14 or 15 of them. And they list all the commands for voiceover. And if you don't feel like pressing some of those long convoluted commands, when you find the one you want, you can just press enter on it and then it executes that command. So that's just some real simple stuff. I know books navigation has been tricky in the past. I don't know if anyone knows or has used iBooks or it's not iBooks, preview and books and whatever on the Mac recently and how those are. But hopefully, does that kind of give you a general idea, Suva?
This is Suva.
Uh
Yes,
huh.
it does. I was more of a, like, looking from a general point, so someone who's not a voiceover user, like the
Oh,
best way to kind of explain that, basically quickly turn over voiceover and just go through they're like just some of the simple commands, just so they can have a text to speech. They can just kind of have the voiceover read it as a text to speech, just kind of more simpler way of kind of explaining the I didn't want to get into the router and all of the different options. So just another way of
sorry.
trying to
Okay,
find it doesn't have to be a PDF. I'm also looking or books, but it can be a regular PDF or a Word document, and a better way to kind of explain that to a new user with the text to speech option. Basically, they're using the yeah.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't start a new user off with, let's say, a PDF or Word doc. It depends on what app you're using them in. Like VOA will read all from your current position to the end, but it's really great if, well, actually, like if somebody was to just work, let's say, in text edit, to start with, that's where they can really kind of grasp the basic reading and navigation commands. And then once you get those, then you'll be better able to deal with a program like Pages, and I recommend that over Word.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. Uh huh.
This is Pete.
Yes, Pete.
I don't want to go too far in depth with this question, but I have a fairly new Mac Mini, an M1 with a terabyte hard drive, and I ran out of space the other day, and I'm wanting to know from a troubleshooting standpoint where would be the best place or two or three to look to reduce my storage on my temporary disk in the largest chunks. I don't know how I filled up a terabyte so quickly. I've got a lot of audio files, but I suspect there's something else. I'm wondering. I have Dropbox, and I'm not sure I've got it in the right mode. I think there's a sync mode or something that keeps the contents of my Dropbox off my computer hard drive.
Yes.
So if anybody has a couple of really quick suggestions, and then I can try them tomorrow. Where can I relieve the most space, relieve the most from my hard drive?
All right. Who would like to help Pete with that? Decluttering the hard drive, trying to figure out what the culprits are
Yeah,
for
I
like the
removed
taking
some
up the
files.
space. Right.
I removed some large podcast files, and I think I ended up working for a half an hour on it, and I ended up reducing it by about 20 gigs. But I suspect there's larger chunks in there that I'd like to go to first.
All right. Well, okay. Oh, somebody about
If
to
that's too
speak?
much for this, I'll take it
No.
somewhere else.
This is
Go ahead,
Darcy. I was just
Darcy.
gonna. All right. Well,
Yeah.
one thing you can do, and I haven't looked at this too much, so I don't remember exactly the specifics, but if you go into about this Mac under the
Hmm.
Apple menu,
Right.
And I'm kind of doing this as I'm saying it, just so I can.
Yeah, I was trying to look for the same.
I
Yeah,
saw the
there's.
total figures there. I saw the total Mac HD at
Yeah, because if you go into storage, it shows you stuff like how much is free, and you can hit manage, and if you do that, it will tell you. I think. Oh, it'll tell you just like how much. Like it'll give you some recommendations, um, like maybe there's like you've got videos or whatever and things that you can store in iCloud.
Yep.
But I
okay.
think it also does show you. It kind of breaks things down, like how
Okay,
much
good.
video, how much that sort of thing, and I'm sure you're doing this, but just for the benefit of everyone else, one thing to make sure too when you delete stuff, especially if you're deleting a lot of stuff, make sure you empty the trash because
Right.
obviously it's not gone until you empty the trash.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are third-party tools you can get that kind of go through it
Right,
more, but I
automatically.
suspect.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm
Okay, I'll
telling you some
check.
other things.
I didn't go into
Yeah.
the manage uh, action on that storage. I looked at the total. It's got 900 and something gigabyte total, and available space. It gave me like 25 gigs, so I knew there was something
Yeah,
large,
that's not
obviously.
very
But
much.
I
And
didn't check the
one thing
manage.
you one thing you definitely don't want to hit is a disk full because things can go really weird when that happens.
Yeah, it sure
So
does. Oh yeah.
This is
And
Brad.
yeah, Brad, go ahead.
Well, you mentioned Dropbox, Pete. I don't know how
Yeah.
much you have in Dropbox. If you have a
Uh,
free account or a paid free
no, I've
account, I
got
think
a
just lets you have 2
couple of gigs,
gigs.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a paid
No, I've
account
got
gives you 2 terabyte.
yeah,
So
I've
one
got a
thing you
paid
might want to
account.
do is go to your home folder, Command Shift H,
H.
and
Mhm.
then you'll find Dropbox in there. If you do have the Dropbox app installed on your Mac, I assume.
Yes.
Okay, if you go down through that list, I mean, there are ways to see how much is in your Dropbox folder. But one
Yeah.
thing you can do is if you open the shortcut menu with focus in your home folder with focus on Dropbox, if you do VO Shift M, you'll open the shortcut menu, it's like a
Mhm.
context menu and that
Right.
other operating system. There is an option in there to make online only, and so that will make it so that everything in your Dropbox is in online, not
And off
physically.
my computer, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Now the problem, keep in mind, that's going to make it slow to access
Retrieve and
things.
save.
Yeah, you're
Right.
going to have to allow them to download, and then when you're done, I don't know. I'm not in a situation where I have to worry too much about my Dropbox space, so I think mine is actually on my computer, and I
Okay.
don't have a whole lot in there.
That's
But
really good.
you might want to look at that, and maybe that might free some space up for you too.
Super.
Darcy
Thanks,
again?
guys.
Yes, Darcy.
Okay, I was just going to say one thing you can also do, and I just thought of it when Brad talked about going into your home folder. If you when you're focused on a specific directory, whether it's Dropbox or downloads or whatever, you can hit Command I for get info, and one of the first things it shows you in that screen that pops up is how big that particular folder is. So you can sort of look at your downloads folder, you get info on
Excellent.
that, and you can see how much space, because often what I find the thing that takes up a lot of space for me is the downloads folder, because there's things I've downloaded that I've kind of
Sure.
forgotten about,
Mhm.
and it can kind of build up on you.
Cool. And all my
Definitely.
AirDrop stuff, I think, goes into my downloads folder, and I've been doing a lot
It
of that.
does by default, yeah.
Cool. Okay. All right. Those are really good tips. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yes, they are. Thanks for the question. It's always good to have reminders of these things. So, excellent. All right, who would like to ask our next question?
This is Darcy. I have sort of a follow-up on Suva's
Sure.
thing from earlier.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
one of the things that because he mentioned wanting someone to use speech who wasn't a voiceover user, and one of the things you can do, and I don't know how useful this is because it's not really something I've had to do myself, but under the edit menu for most apps, there's a speech options. There's like a sub menu, and there's a thing that says start speaking and stop speaking. And I think what it does is if you have text selected, it will read you that. And if you don't have anything selected, it will read you the whole thing. So it might be useful for people who need speech occasionally but don't need voiceover.
That's a great idea. And that's right. I wasn't fully connecting with that part of the question, so excellent thought there. And I think you can even set a shortcut for that, like option space or something, if you go into accessibility and or
Yeah,
system
you
accessibility and system preferences. So
Yeah, you
yeah,
probably can because that's like I said, that's like we all use voiceover, so it's not something we've
right.
had to deal with. But there is a definite use case for people who need speech once in a while,
Yeah.
but don't need a full screen
And
reader.
some people do, yeah, it's kind of like the speak text on the iPhone.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
This is
So
Brad.
hopefully that's helpful too, Suva.
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad?
Just remember for a new user, be very careful if you're in editable text and you have stuff selected and you do an errant key press, it's all going to go away. So remember
Right.
that Command Z is your friend.
Yes.
That
Yes.
that saving the document before you do anything like that.
Right. Definitely. Very true. Important to keep that
Quick,
in mind.
this is
What?
Suva.
Yes, Suva?
So Command Z will save it from losing focus, or
This is Brad.
Yeah, Brad.
Command Z is undo. So let's say you've got a bunch
yes.
of text selected and you accidentally, for whatever reason, maybe for this reading thing that Darcy mentioned, but it could be anything. You've selected it, you intend to do something with it, and you accidentally hit a key. Maybe you accidentally hit the space bar. Now everything that was selected is replaced by a single space. If you do Command Z, it will undo the last editing action. Actually, you can hit it repeatedly and it'll start undoing the last several editing action. But to me, I sometimes when I'm training people, I call it the oops fixer.
Yeah, I like that.
Gotcha. Thanks.
There we go. Awesome. Great. All right, then who would like to ask our next question?
Raheel.
Okay, Raheel.
Hi, Chanelle. Um,
Hi.
yeah, I'm just looking for accessible websites where you can book your airfare if you wanted to go anywhere, like to Houston or to Atlanta or anything. I don't know if there are any accessible websites out there because Delta has been giving me a lot of trouble with their website and their app, on the phone. So that's what it is.
All
So
right. Well, here we can talk about the websites on the Mac. Does anyone have any travel sites that they particularly like to use?
This is Darcy.
Yes, Darcy.
I've had really good luck with Southwest. Their website I find works
Yeah.
really well. Their app works really well too, but that's neither here nor there. I actually prefer using the website over the app because at least last time I tried to do it, the app doesn't let you select if you require like special assistance, and you can on the website. So I actually find the website works pretty well. It's actually
Great.
quite accessible.
Awesome. That's definitely a good input or suggestion. Has anybody had any experience using like major travel sites? I don't know what some of the ones are out there are these days.
This is
Travel.
Brad.
Yeah, Brad.
I find Expedia is real good. I don't. I have not. I have booked airline travel through them before and learned that I really prefer to just do my airline travel directly from the airline because if I've ever had to cancel a trip or something, it's more trouble going through Expedia than it is dealing directly with the airline. But I agree with Darcy. Southwest is real good. Most of the airline sites should be accessible because there's a section of the Americans with Disabilities Act that covers certain kinds of things, government and other types of businesses, and transportation is one of them. And the airlines are required under ADA to make their websites. So I'm not saying they're all perfect, but they're supposed to be accessible with the screen reader. I haven't used Delta in a long time, so I don't know about that. My experience is being in Dallas, I primarily use Southwest or American. My only problem, Southwest is really good. American, you got to be quick. It'll time out on you if you know, don't move along. But I've had good luck with both of those two.
All
Raheel.
right. Yes, Raheel?
So why is it that you can't? I heard on Southwest that you cannot select a seat or anything on the website. You have to
This
pick.
is
You
Brad.
can pick anything when you get there. Like, why is that?
Okay. Yeah,
This is
Brad, go ahead.
Southwest doesn't do reserved seats, period. You can't even select it when you get to the airport. There, you get on the airplane, you pick your seat once you're on the airplane. That's why.
Oh, okay. So it's, for example, economy or
No, it's open
comfort
seating.
class.
They
Oh,
have
okay.
different fare classes, but the airplane is like general admission.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Excellent question there, using websites with the Mac. Let's see who has the next question.
This is Kathy Long.
Yeah, Kathy.
Well, I'm still playing around with VoiceOver Help. And there was something I heard today, and I don't think I have all the keys, but it has to do with an FN key and an F8 key, and it might be a command key. I don't know. That's what I want to know. What are the rest of the keystrokes to get into? And it's some kind of a voiceover practice thing, and there are 25 things to look into and practice.
All right. Who would like to help Kathy with that?
I know it's such a
No,
very
it's a great
elementary
question.
but it's a question for a beginner, which I
That's
am.
awesome. That's great. No, there's no dumb question out there, as we say. All
Thank you.
questions are
This
the
is
only one
Gail.
that isn't dumb. Yep, Gail, go ahead.
Well, I know in the help menu, um, there is the beginning when you go down to the voiceover help getting started with the Mac.
Yes.
Did you do that?
Well, I did HH and I've been through all that, but then
Okay,
he
and
threw this other thing
if-
at me with a F8 and an F8 and a FN key, but I think I missed a key.
if you go down to, let's see, if you go down to the arrow down to the bottom, it's voiceover, getting started with the Mac, the basics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think you're
think it's at
talking
the very
about the
bottom.
help menu there,
It
Gail.
is a
Yeah,
help menu.
the help menu. At
Yeah.
the very bottom is where you can, the voiceover tutorial.
It'll tell you everything.
Yeah, you
Okay.
you go at your own speed,
Well, yeah.
and then you practice. Like it'll say, what are the voiceover command keys, and it'll tell you what they are, and then you practice, and then
Yeah.
when you're done, it'll do a little bell.
Right arrow. You right arrow. Yeah, I
Yep.
know. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
I'm
then
just working on it.
and then I was gonna say one other thing, that FN and I think it's command F8 was voiceover
Okay.
utility.
That's
Also.
it. That's it.
Yeah, so okay, yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Well, I was going to say what you may be seeing there is by default on a Mac, your F keys do hardware features,
Yeah.
such as make the screen brighter, make the screen dimmer. They
Yes.
F7, 8, and 9 do media controls. F10,
Right.
11, 12 do your volume and mute. So in order to make them do F keys functions, standard F key, you hold down the FN key, which is the bottom row far left. It says FN for function.
Yes.
And there's actually a setting. This is on a MacBook. If you have a a desktop, you may have a different keyboard and things
No, I
may
don't.
be different with
I
that.
have
But on a
Pro.
MacBook Pro, MacBook Air, you have the FN key.
First, and then
And
Control.
so
Yeah.
by default, now there is a set, and what you probably saw in that help menu at the very bottom, it's telling you that the command to start that voiceover tutorial that I believe Gail was talking about is voiceover modifier VO, which by default is the
Yeah.
control option, and then the command key. And then to make F8 be an F8 key, you have to hold
hit
down
the
the
F8.
FN. So you're really holding down all 4 of those first 4 keys on the left end of the front row.
I got
Okay,
it.
and that's where your
Yeah.
FN is coming from. Now there's a setting in your keyboard preferences to
Don't
change
tell
the
me more.
behavior.
Don't tell me more.
To
now.
Okay.
Yeah, you can change that in preferences if you don't want to have to fool with
Not
that
right
FN.
And if,
now.
But yeah, but
yeah.
that's what they're telling you to do that for.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Otherwise, you can just get to it in that menu so you don't have to press all those keys. But pressing the keys is definitely an option. And thanks, Brad, for that explanation, and Gail. And yeah, good luck, Kathy.
I'm working
You'll
on it.
get there. You'll get there.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in class in a couple weeks, so you'll be
Yeah,
fine.
then I'll really then you're really gonna throw it at me.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you're
but
doing good. You're working ahead. That's awesome.
yeah, thank you.
All right. Who would like to ask our next question?
This is Milagros again.
Yes, go ahead, Milagros.
Okay, I really do not use voiceover. I do the selection because I'm low vision. I use the selection and to read. So my question is, I have a MacBook Pro, but I would like to have a larger monitor. Obviously, I don't think a regular monitor would work with this computer. So is there something that Apple makes that can be connected to the MacBook Pro to like have a secondary monitor, a large monitor?
Oh, that's a great question.
This is Janet from Colorado.
Yeah, Janet, go ahead.
If you have an HDMI cable, you can connect your TV to your Mac, I do believe. You can, and the TV becomes the monitor of your Mac.
Any TV?
Any TV that has an HDMI cable port, I do believe.
Okay, thank you. I'll try that. I'll give it a try.
Or you could buy a monitor and use that. But I think if you already have a TV, why spend the money for a monitor if you have a TV and HDMI cable port where you can connect it to your Mac? Use it as a monitor.
Excellent idea there.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what other monitor. I mean, the Apple. Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
You can pretty much use any computer monitor. You're probably going to have to, no matter what you use. You said you had a MacBook Pro, unless it's a really old one or a really new one. You probably, the really new ones have an HDMI port. They hadn't had one for a long time. And you probably are going to need, if you don't have a really new one, you're going to probably have to buy a adapter, like a little dongle that'll adapt a HDMI port to like one of the USB-C Thunderbolt ports on this. If you've got a MacBook Pro since 2000, is it 16 or 15? I think it's 15. When they came out with the most recent iteration of them that were replaced a year ago with the newest iteration. And those have the ones with the HDMI adapter. But even if you have just a regular monitor that you've had from a previous computer, if it's a VGA or a DVI, Apple probably sells an adapter that will make it work with your Mac. And those cost
Okay.
$29, $39, something like that.
So what I need to do is go to the Apple store and bring the computer and ask them what I need, or can I
You
just
could
ask
do
for a
that.
specific
You could
cable?
do that. But do you have a monitor at home, or do you have a TV?
I have a TV.
Then you
I
need
have a
probably just if you have a TV and you need to feel the side of your, are you familiar with what ports are on the side of your MacBook? How old is your MacBook Pro?
I'm here on where it says about this Mac. It says
Uh-huh.
MacBook Pro 16-inch 2019, and it says
Okay, that has
processor 2.6.
Yes, that has 4 Thunderbolt ports, and a Thunderbolt port and a USB-C port are the same basic. They're sort of the
Okay, it's the
same.
skinny. It's the skinny ones,
Yeah.
right?
So really,
Okay.
you could go online to Apple
Uh-huh.
Store, or you could just tell them you need an HDMI to Thunderbolt adapter. And you also need an
Okay.
HDMI cable, but you can buy those anywhere. You can buy those at Walmart.
This
And
is
then you
super.
can connect your TV with an HDMI cable to your Mac, and you should be good to go.
All right.
Okay,
Go
it's an
ahead, Sue.
adapter. I was going to ask real quick.
Sure.
An adapter is like a little box that has an HDMI on one end, and then I can plug in any USB, the old USB on it. Is that what you're talking
This
about?
is Brad.
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
The one you need will come from Apple, and it is a dongle.
Okay.
A dongle is a little. It's got a little like about a 2-inch long wire, and on one end it has the Thunderbolt connector that'll plug directly into
Uh-huh.
your computer, and on the other
Yes.
end is a little bit bigger connector, and it's got a female HDMI connector where you can plug the cable that will go
Okay.
between. There's no secondary box needed. It's just a Thunderbolt to HDMI. And
Okay.
you might be able to get one of these from Amazon. Belkin sells them. Belkin's a good brand.
Mm-hmm.
And Amazon may sell one, but that's what you want.
Okay.
HDMI to Thunderbolt adapter.
Adapter. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Brad.
And Suva, go ahead.
Yep. So Brad, sorry about that, but my voice for okay. Yes. So the Thunderbolt to an HDMI, you can definitely. I was gonna recommend the Amazon, so you don't even have to go to the Apple to get that. You want just if you want, they sell them in bundle. Like there's 2 things. One is a USB-C to DisplayPort or USB-C to HDMI. I would recommend you just get both of them. If you don't know which one is what. So some monitors have a DisplayPort, which is different from an HDMI cable, HDMI output. So, you just kind of have to HDMI looks like, it's like feels like there's 4 corners. The DisplayPort, however, you can only feel 2 corners, and the other one is a little rounded kind of edge. So basically, you don't. They sell them cables. One end is a USB-C, and the other end can be either a DisplayPort or an HDMI port. So it all varies on the monitor you have. And yes, any TV, any monitor you have on your house will work.
Okay, great. That's good information. So hopefully that helps you out. And let's see who has the next question. I know some people have recently come in. Welcome. And we are just here to answer your questions. Anything about the Mac. There's no such thing as a dumb question.
Okay, this is me, Julie. I'm going to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead, Julie.
Yes, I have just got a couple of weeks ago got the M1 Mac Mini, brand new to Apple's computer because I've always been Windows.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I have connected a Bluetooth keyboard to it instead of a regular. I had it connected with a wire and then undid that and used Bluetooth keyboard I have. But I'm just wondering if this keyboard's I'm signed up for those classes that you're gonna have. Now
you
the
are?
keyboard has but the bottom left, it says CTRL and then FN, then Win, and then Alt. Is that okay for me to use that keyboard?
That one might cause a bit of problems because that is a Windows keyboard.
It has the FN on it.
Right, but
Okay.
you,
So, Brad,
yeah, go ahead, Brad.
it'll work, but it's a little squirrely in that the control will be control. The FN is FN, but your Windows key will be what is the command key on a Mac keyboard. And the
Yeah.
command is usually next to the space bar. And the Alt key on your keyboard, which is next to the space bar, will be the Option key on a Mac, which is it's usually one key over from the space bar. Other than that, once your fingers learn what to push for what, and what is real, what's labeled is not what Apple's going to call them. But other than that, I have used a Windows keyboard, and once you get used to it, it's for the most part fine. It's almost as good as using an Apple keyboard, but you can get by.
That's what I thought, because I have been using it, like it speaks to me and when I push the shift, it says shift. So if I hit where it says command, it'll say command, correct?
No.
No,
it won't?
if you turn on voiceover help
Yeah.
and press
I
keys,
don't know how to do voice. What does that help? What you said to do?
yeah, well, the voiceover help is something you turn it on, and when you push keys, it tells you what they are.
This is Gail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was Brad, were you finished or?
Well, and on that keyboard, you would use command. So you're going to push the control key, and then you're going to reach your finger way over to the key that's next to this on the left-hand side of the key of the space bar. The control key is the far left key. Then you have to reach your finger way over and push the one that's next to the space bar, which is labeled Alt on the keyboard, but the Mac is going to think it's the Option key. And then once you push those two down, push the letter K, and that will start voiceover help. And when you're done, you can get out of voiceover help by pressing the escape key, which you know where that is in the far upper left corner.
So
And then you can push
Alt,
keys and it'll tell you what they are.
Yeah, no, that may throw you off though, when you do hear a bunch of voiceover commands help and different things. But go ahead, Gail.
Well, one thing I was going to suggest what he just said about the keyboard help. I was going to tell what keys to press, but also I was going to suggest, do you have an option of replacing that keyboard, sending that keyboard back and getting, a Mac keyboard, Bluetooth keyboard that with Mac keys on it?
So you think I should buy an Apple keyboard?
Well, no, I mean, yeah. What you
It's
could
much
do
better.
Would be much better.
Yes,
Yeah.
it would be much easier for you to use.
Where would I?
Well, you could go. There are a couple ways. You could get one from Apple. There's an Apple keyboard you could use.
The expensive.
Or well, there are other. Well, that also you could go to Amazon, and they have like a Logitech keyboard that you could use for 3 devices, for the Mac, the phone, and if you have, for example, if you have, I think well, I know it's up to three devices. You can have 3 devices on it, and for like if you had two, like an iPad, for example, you could have 3 devices on it. If you get an Apple keyboard, you could only use it, that Apple keyboard, for 1 device at a time. The Logitech keyboard, you would be able to use for 3 devices, and you would get that on Amazon.
That's okay. As long as what I need to know is like, what do I need to look for, or does it say Apple keyboard when I go looking on Amazon? Will it say?
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
If you're looking for the one from Apple, it's called an Apple Magic Bluetooth keyboard. And there's two
Okay.
versions. There's the full size one called the extended. It's got the number pad and the arrow keys that are in the middle between the typing area and the number pad. And then it's got the 6 extended keys, and then Apple has 3 extra F keys that are above it. So instead of a 6-pack, it's more like a little 9-pack. Apple's that is, some people like an extended, some people don't. The other Magic Keyboard is one that's the size of the laptop keyboard, and that's just one they call just plain Apple Magic Keyboard. Now the Apple keyboards are more expensive than the Logitech, and like Gail was saying, the Logitech allows you, some models allow you to use it with more than one device, and some people like that.
Okay.
And depending upon which one you get, there's some issues I've run into with Logitech on the extended keyboard that has the FN key. That's a problem.
Oh, then you
I don't
think
like
should...
where it is. I don't like where it now. That one that Gail's talking about that does 3, that's called a K380, and that could be a real good choice for you.
Really?
It's got the layout for the same as the laptop. It can be the keys have labels on them for either Windows or Mac. So like one key may say Alt, but it'll also say CMD. If you're like me, I can't see the key, but the keys are labeled anyway. I'm doing it all by feel.
I can see a little bit. I can see a little bit. I'm going to take these classes, and I have a hard enough time learning. I don't want anything that's going to mess with my brain. I mean, I want to learn.
This is Brad. If you aren't worried what it costs, I'd get one of those 2 Apple Magic keyboards. That is going to provide you with the most 100% Apple experience.
Okay.
And if you want to take the class specifically that iBUG is offering, you would, what?
Yes, I do. I already signed up with you guys.
No, not for the class. You would actually need to register. You would need to complete an application. And this class is currently full, but we'd be happy to get you in the next. Yeah, there's an application to fill out.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much for your question. It's important to get the right
Okay, well,
keyboard and
this is Gail. I just want to make one more comment about the Logitech that I have.
Sure. Yeah,
Mine
go
does
ahead.
not have an Alt key. Mine has all the Mac keys. So I must have an older version. But it is a good keyboard because it's like everything is spaced out. But I like both that and the Apple keyboard. They're both great.
Awesome.
Okay. How would I get the application to sign up for next time?
You can email me, and my email address is on the iBUG Today website.
Oh, okay. I thought I already had sent you I thought I already did that. And you sent me a thing about the classes.
Okay, well, anyway, we can straighten that out at some point, but let's go ahead and
thank you.
Continue on with our call. Who would like to ask the next question?
Okay, this is Julie again. Can I ask another question?
Sure, go ahead.
I just got this Mac One Mini, and it's only got 8 gigs memory, 256, I think they said RAM. I wanted to buy a hub to add more memory to that. I don't know exactly which one I should get. Does anybody know anything about that?
Okay.
This is Suva.
Yeah, Suva, go ahead.
So a couple of things going. So 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. And you would like to add possibly more storage. Hopefully I got that right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, so depending on which version of storage device you're looking for, it can be a USB-C type or a USB type if you have, you said Mac M1 Mini?
Yes. Uh-huh. Monterey. It's brand new.
Okay, it's not a MacBook, right?
No. Desktop. It's a Mac One Mini. It's a square thing on my desk
Gotcha.
here. Yeah.
Gotcha. So it should have USB ports. So yeah, you does have USB ports. I think it also has USB-C.
Yeah.
I don't.
Right.
Okay.
It has Thunderbolt. I don't even know what Thunderbolt is, but that's what it said it has.
Yeah, it just provides a faster speed. But really, if you just go to Amazon, just look up any. You can go about it two different ways. To get a enclosure, and then have a either a solid state drive or a regular hard drive for mass storage, and then just format that to exFAT. So the Mac will recognize it. Or you can just go get don't have to worry about the enclosure, just any a T5 or a T7 from Samsung, or just any other storage will do.
This is Herbie.
Go ahead, Herbie.
So, a couple of things I want to clarify here real quick. So, first of all that'll do is that will increase your computer's memory in terms of adding on a separate drive, but the RAM, which is what you're referring to, the 8 gig, the storage, but the memory, there's no way to increase that. You have to purchase that ahead of time, and if you want it increased storage. So
you mean increased memory?
Just
trying to make sure we get our terms.
Yes.
Memory is the RAM, and that it means helps.
I'm tired, so.
Yeah, I know. So am I. But yeah, that the memory is for things like the computer keeping track of everything you're doing all at once, the storing whatever the processes and things. But
This is.
And I have one of those. I was just gonna say, and I do have one of those T7 drives, and I did not have to reformat it or anything like that. I plugged it in, and it just worked right out of the box. So, but I really like it. So
is it hard to connect that? You don't have to connect anything with it. I don't even know what a T7 is.
It's just a model of this is Herbie. It's just a model of a Samsung hard drive. Like I have a T7 2 terabyte hard drive that I plug into one of the USB-C ports on my computer, and it shows up on my desktop as an external drive. But I'll give way to Suva. I know who's going to talk.
Suva, go ahead.
Hey, so yes, just everyone's right. So it just the RAM and the storage gets confusing. But the RAM, unless you're doing like video editing and working with lots of different applications, you really don't have to worry about it. The 8 gigabytes will be fine.
Good. I don't do any of that.
So yeah, and for the formatting part, so as long as you don't have to, if you're not getting like the enclosure and what I mentioned for the first part, you're not like making your own T7, you don't have to worry about formatting. Just get a T7, it's all good.
Well, it's called a T7, huh? And I can get it where? Amazon, maybe?
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
There's lots of drives you can buy. I'm not familiar with the T7. I've always bought either Western Digital or Seagate, but there's lots of drives. If you just search on Amazon for USB external HD, you should find lots of choices. You can get a 4 or 5 gigabyte drive now for around $100, and you just plug it in. You have 2 USB-A ports and 2 Thunderbolt ports on the back of that M1 Mac Mini. So you can use either one. USB-C is probably going to cost more. It's faster input output, and SSD is even faster. But if it's a spinning hard drive, it's probably going to be USB-A, and SSD will probably be USB-C or Thunderbolt.
Yeah,
Thunderbolt will be even more expensive because it's faster.
I was just going to say that I think you meant to say 4 or 5 terabyte drive, or did you mean
That's what I meant. Thank you, Herbie.
I was going to say, because I remember...
We're all messing up. We're all messing up.
I remember a 5 gigabyte hard drive back in 2002 that was this massive thing, and I thought it was the coolest thing.
That's what I meant. Thank you, sir.
We're all messing up. Okay, yeah. So and SSD is going to be fast. Yeah, there's so many different things, but there are tons of options out there, and
I'm just brand new to this. I watch YouTube videos, and I'm thinking maybe I probably should add some more storage, don't you think?
This is
I don't
Darcy.
do a lot. I do
Yeah.
internet. No, okay.
Okay, Darcy, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say if you're just new to the Mac, and if you're just using it like right now to watch videos and stuff, and you haven't really done like you don't have a lot of pictures on there yet, or maybe a lot of media or a lot of videos, you may not have to worry about upgrade. I mean, that's a big chunk of space to start out with. You may not have to worry about it right yet. Like you're
Okay.
probably nowhere near close to maxing it out at this point.
Okay, I'll just let it be for now.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good advice.
And
Thank
this
you
is
very
Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
So I just want to make some general comments because I know we may use terms here that people aren't familiar with when we talk about, HD versus SSD. Basically, you have your old-fashioned hard drives that have spinning parts, and more things can go wrong with them versus SSD where it's all digital and there's no moving parts. So I just wanted to make sure people know what the differences are so they know what we're talking about. That's all.
All right. Yeah. Sometimes I don't even fully know the difference. So there we go.
The older the HD makes a whirring sound. You can feel the parts
Okay.
moving.
Yeah.
There you go.
All
This
right.
is
Yeah,
this
go
is
ahead,
Janet.
Janet.
SSD means solid state
Yep.
drive.
Yep. Those are definitely the way to go. I have those in my computers, and they're, because it's less moving parts, things just stay together better and move faster. But whatever you can get, is whatever it, yeah. So,
Thank you,
But
everybody.
when I think, this is Janet again, when I think of RAM, I think of the brain of the computer.
yeah, there you go. That works. Yep. Excellent. So, who would like to ask our next question?
This is Janet. I had a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Does anybody know if iHeart or TuneIn or any of those have apps for the Mac?
This is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
TuneIn does have a map app for the Mac, and it's a regular Mac app, not the iPad version. And it is actually pretty accessible. And one maybe not so obvious thing on there, you do have a volume control with your command up and command down, but you can link it to your TuneIn account. And so yes, there is definitely a TuneIn app for the Mac. I'm not sure about iHeart.
All right, then. As a follow up, are those websites pretty easy to use on the Mac? I imagine they would be.
So I think I got TuneIn from the Mac App Store. I don't think I got it from the website.
Right.
And the TuneIn website, it's doable, but it was never one of my favorites. I've always found the app interface a little bit better. But you can use TuneIn on the web. iHeart, I want to say, I've really not tried iHeart on the web, so I really can't say because I've just always used the app on the phone.
All right. Good question there, Jan. Hopefully that helps you out. And yeah, a lot of the time it seems like there's a lot of apps for iOS, but on the Mac there's not as many, or it's just easier to use the website. So, but good luck with the TuneIn app. So, who would like to ask our next question?
This is Suva.
Yes, Suva, go ahead.
So I'm going back to that question I asked about the reading books. I keep losing
Yes.
focus. So is there any way to kind of put my focus back into the page? And I did try the VO key and the A to kind of go through the read command just to bring up the commands list to see the reading commands. I've tried them all. I don't know, maybe my Mac is just going through, needs a restart or something. It's not doing it.
Uh-oh. So to put focus, so I guess you would like use your arrow keys to
Right. Just say I would like to read it from a paragraph, right? I find the place, but then how would I kind of start reading from there or listening from there.
Yeah, so I think to read, yeah. So does anyone want to help Suva out before I just start to answer?
This is Brad. What's he trying to do? Read from the Books app?
Correct. Yes.
Well, I would try either VOA, or you could turn the trackpad commander on and do a 2-finger swipe down, just like on an iPhone.
This is Pete.
That's a great suggestion. Yeah. Mhm.
There you go. Yeah, Pete, go ahead.
Does the up and down arrow key not work to read line by line in a PDF or one of those books?
It is a PDF, and then this is Suva, and the VO key A, which should read the beginning to end. It's only reading one sentence.
This is Herbie.
Uh-oh. Herbie?
So are you actually reading a PDF or an iBook?
It's a PDF.
So have you tried using the preview app?
No, I don't think I did. Yeah.
So I recommend trying the preview app, and if you don't like that app, try Google Chrome. I think you'll find, so long as it's not an image-based PDF, I think you'll find those are a lot easier. Also, you now have the option of voice stream reader as well on the Mac as well as on the phone. You do have to pay a subscription fee of $4.95 a month.
Yeah.
But you may
not a
find
fan.
those a lot better options than the Books app.
Books app. So, okay, this is Suva. So you do recommend I open it through the Books app?
No, I'm saying I don't recommend the Books app. I'm recommending other apps you try instead that might offer you a much better experience. Preview is the default app for PDFs, but I've used Google Chrome successfully, and you can also use Voice Stream Reader as well if you're willing to pay for that app, which is, designed for accessibility in mind. Yeah. The Books app, I have tried it, and I always find my experience frustrating with it for the most part. Granted, the iBook I tried to read through it was not the best formatted to begin with. I don't know why Audible throws fits if I try to merge those files with the Books app, and I can get Apple audiobooks to work just fine. So I find the app overall more of a frustrating experience. So I think there's better apps to try than the Books app on the Mac. And since it's a PDF, yeah, I would try a preview, and because that's your default PDF reader anyway. And then I would also try Chrome, and then you've also got, like I said, Voice Stream as well.
This is Pete.
If those apps work better for you.
Yes, Pete, go ahead.
Is that a Command Y to open the preview? Does that work in a PDF?
No,
I know
this is
mail.
Herbie.
Yeah.
Preview is the app that is on your Mac for reading PDFs. By default,
and
it's
other
what
files.
And
right.
what?
Other files.
Other file.
Other files.
So you just go to your applications list and open it from there.
No, when you open the PDF file, by default, that's the app that should actually launch.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I know you are in Chanelle's Mac class. We'll talk about Open With and how you can associate programs, but the short version is you can do Command I, or you can go down the context menu, go down to Open With if you want to use a different app. But by default, PDFs should be opening in the Preview app, which there is an actual app called Preview. You will find it in your apps folder if you go to your Finder and Command Shift A.
Right.
But PDFs should automatically open in that app.
So I'm wondering why Suba's PDF did not open that automatically.
There are a number of reasons, but Brad.
Yeah, let's go to Brad.
I'm done. Sorry. Thank you.
No, it's
as far as why he probably imported it to the Books app, or who knows. But I was going to say, you could just, if you've got the PDF file in a folder and you've got focus on that, folder and Finder, and you either do Command O or Command down arrow, it should open in that default app, which, like Herbie said, for a PDF, unless you've done something to change it, it's Preview. And I agree, that would probably be a much better reading experience. Or like you said, Chrome also is a good one, which you're going to have to do Open With to do that.
Yes. Suva, go ahead.
So Command O or Command down arrow to get me to the preview, or if I want to open it up with Chrome, just Command O or Command down arrow will also give me that option.
This is
This is
Herbie.
Brad.
Oh, go ahead,
Okay,
Brad.
Herbie.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, those are just your straightforward commands for opening any kind of file on the Mac.
But go ahead. And Brad was probably going to say something else.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, that's just the default. That'll open any folder, any file. And if it's a file, it opens it in the default application for that file type. So yeah, and Command O, Command down arrow, and they're interchangeable. They do the same thing.
But if you want to open it in a specific program, that's when you go to open with.
Other than the default, yes.
Yeah,
You
other
have
than
to
the
do
default.
the shortcut menu and then down arrow to open with, and then right arrow, and you get a list of possible applications.
Yes.
This is it. Thank you. I'll try those. Appreciate it.
All right. Excellent. Who would like to ask our next question?
This is Darcy. I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, Darcy.
Okay, so just a little background here. I've been using 1Password since like 2010, which for people who don't know is sort of it's a password manager. Keeps track of all your passwords, and you can put all kinds of other stuff in there like banking information, registration keys, all that. And it's coming up for renewal in a couple months, and it is kind of expensive now. So I'm thinking about switching to the iCloud stuff, like the iCloud passwords and stuff. Because I think since I got 1Password, I think it pretty much now does everything that I use 1Password for. The one thing I don't think it does is keeps track of registration keys, like any app you ever buy that you don't get through the Mac App Store. There's probably some sort of registration key. Then you have to, and it was really handy at, you could just search for the app you wanted, and there was a command to automatically paste the thing into the clipboard, and then you paste it back into the app and everything. So what I'm kind of wondering, just sort of picking everyone's brain here, is what do you all use to keep track of your registration keys? Do you just have a document somewhere, or how do you all do that?
This is Herbie.
Yeah, Herbie.
I keep the original emails, and one of the nice things about MacMail is it can make it a lot easier to find with the search feature. Like, for instance, I needed to find my audio hijack license the other week, and so it was, I could easily find it in the Mail app, and
yeah.
That's what I do. I think most of to be fair, I don't know how many things I have with registrations. The one frustration, though, I do have with the iCloud keychain as it relates to the Mac is I've had it not be good about seeing like on the phone you have no problems when you use a third party app. You can use the password field. I've had issues with third party apps on the Mac and being able to use iCloud keychain with the like Amazon Prime, for instance, was an example where I had to look up my Amazon password the hard way. Maybe I just wasn't doing something wrong. Maybe I was doing something wrong. I don't know. But I've had issues with keychain and third-party apps on the Mac. Not with Safari though.
Okay, so you're talking like not like on an like in an app where you have to log into.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Because that's one of the things that 1Password actually does pretty well, especially now with the new version. But there are some weird accessibility issues in the new version, and also it is kind of expensive because you got to pay a yearly thing. So I think what I'm going to try and do, because I think it comes up in October, so what I'm probably going to try and do is stop using it for the next little while, try and just see if the iCloud stuff meets my needs, and if it does, then I'll switch. And otherwise, but that seems to be the biggest one. And I actually do have most of my original emails, just because I just in case sort of thing. But I didn't know if anyone knew had any apps or any way of kind of keeping all that stuff together. If anyone else did anything.
Question.
This is Suva.
Yes, Suva.
So depends on how much like privacy you kind of do. Google Docs is a great one. So you can create a docs page where you can combine all of your licenses and just label them links, licenses, and what their editions are, and just keep them compiled and online. But it depends on how much privacy stuff you want to kind of do. And then if you want to just go offline, then I would recommend just any like a notepad, like a simple document, and just put everything in there. But you're prone to losing that. So if flash drive got damaged or anything happens, well, there you go.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
Milagros.
Okay.
Really quick, what I do is I have on notes and I label the note something really non-specific, like maybe Christmas list or kids toys or something like that. And that's where I store my passwords. So, but that's in the note, under notes.
This is Herbie.
Okay, I think Darcy was maybe trying to, or somebody was trying to say something before, um, or maybe not. Go ahead, Herbie.
So I'm going to mention this as well because Darcy, I think you, or maybe I don't know if you actually can make use of this or not, but a lot of people will use the Braille note takers to store passwords and stuff, going on the theory that the average sighted person, if they were to ever steal it, would not know how to make use of the data.
That's a good point.
I just would say I'm not that the only reason I hesitate to endorse that method, I would agree on as a general rule, yes, it's going to stump the average sighted person, but it's not going to stump the average blind person that knows how to read Braille should they nab your device.
Well,
B, I wouldn't trust it. I would imagine a professional hacker would find their way into a note
Well,
taker.
I already know
that's
where
not gonna work for me.
Milagros
All right,
stores
one at a
hers.
time. One at a time. So, Darcy and then Pete.
Well, I was just going to say that wouldn't work for me. First and foremost, I don't have a Braille display. But even if I did, some of my passwords, because I've used 1Password for so long to do passwords, I have it generate passwords, and some of them are really, really long. And I would not, if I had them in like something in Braille, I would not want to have to type them in manually because some of them are crazy. Like I'm talking like 30 plus characters.
Yep, I use 1Password too. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I know. Yeah. All right, sorry, and I was interjecting in there too. But Pete, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I know where Milagros stores hers Christmas list and kids' toys, so I'll make a note of that. And Herbie has a Braille display.
I think when I was, this is Darcy.
That was actually a bad example.
I don't have a Braille
kidding.
display. I was telling you what I've heard other people,
Right,
do.
right. I know. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I keep mine in my emails. So yeah.
Okay. Well, that's probably, as secure as anything else. I think I was thinking there might be like and maybe there is like some sort of program specifically designed for that. So you could, because like I said, one of the appeals of 1Password is like you can, if I have to, re-enter my registration key for whatever reason, you can search for any 1Password. And I think there's a command. I don't know if it's Command C or it's one of the. It always tells me every time, but it'll just copy the license key right to the clipboard, so it's like super quick to.
You've just given me another use for 1Password. I didn't realize I could.
Well, that ultimately I may end up sticking with it. I'm just sort of at this point. It's the kind of thing where, like I said, my renewal, because I have the 1Password for families thing too, which is actually kind of useful because Holly and I share passwords, but.
Right.
It's the kind of thing where it's like it's not like super expensive, but it's expensive enough where it's like when it comes up it's like, okay, do I still need this,
I know that is the question. I just find if you you pretty much stay in the Apple ecosystem, so you might be okay, but when you're going from different operating systems and when there is iCloud passwords for Windows, but it is still clunky. So there's lots of factors to consider. We are running out of time, so I just want to thank everybody for coming. It's been a great call, and we will be back on September 27th. Will be our next Mac and Talk. So,
Great session.
what?
Great session.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody be thinking of your questions or follow-ups to the ones you've asked and share that then. And I don't know if we'll know any more about the new Ventura coming out, but yeah, something to look forward to. So have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, Chanel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Have a good
too.
one.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chanelle.
Okay,
Good job.
bye-bye.